Hello everyone, it's so good to see you and thank you for joining me once again, and I hope that you have had a very, very good day. Today I thought we'd have a look through this book about New Zealand's past. In My Day, Looking at New Zealand's Past by Richard Wolff. I thought it would be quite interesting. Let's have a look. This book was given to my mother as a gift in, 2001, Christmas 2001. It's a hardcover. And most of the photos are in black and white. Some of them may be in colour. But I think we're looking at quite a few decades. So I'm not going to read every page because that would make for a very long video. And I know you like long videos when you're getting ready for sleep, but I don't think I have the equipment to do anything quite that long. Look, here's a family listening to the wireless before TV. Let's just have a look at the contents. This book was published in 2001, so it's 17 years old. Let's have a look. What have we got here? Some children playing hopscotch. I remember playing hopscotch. It was more of a girls' game than a boys' game, so it's interesting to see that there's a young man having a game, but it looks like he's surrounded by all the beauties of the neighbourhood. Very clever boy. So we have It's a Kid's Life, a home of our own, on the job, getting away from it all, down on the farm, a matter of making do, keeping the home fires burning, a sense of occasion, travelling around, going to town, fun and games. That looks very interesting. Let's just flick through. The importance of sunshine. It looks like a nurse there. Another nurse up here. Can you see that? So what are they doing? I think they're getting their vitamin D. Soaking up the sun at a sanatorium in Kashmir, Christchurch, in the early 1950s. That was before we knew too much about the dangers of being in the sun for too long. Here we have some children doing the haka, and it looks like they've been skinny dipping. Guard your natural teeth. They are the best. I wish I'd listened to that advice. Let's move on. School life. Free milk in schools. That was phased out in the 1960s, shortly before I started school. So I didn't get the free milk, but I understand that was a good thing because it was usually left to sit in the sun and didn't taste very nice by the time it got to the child. But they have reintroduced free milk in schools in the last few years, and now they're in cartons, and it's a lot nicer. So, school life. It looks like a very well-behaved class of students. They've been drawing a fish. Very good artists. Swimming. New Zealanders, we love our beaches. We are a group of islands made up of the North Island, the South Island, and Stewart Island. So, being surrounded by water, the Pacific, we love our beaches. Look at the togs they're wearing. We call them togs. Back in the day, they were very modest. This is the 1920s. I think you would call them swimsuit, or in Australia they'd call them bathers. Swimming costume, we call them togs. I have no idea why. Some muscular young men, some beautiful young ladies doing a fairy dance. Cute little tricycles. Now that little girl, what is she wearing? Oh, a gym slip. Okay. There's that milk. There's a kapa haka group. Some children performing the haka. I was in a Māori culture group when I was at school. I used to go on Saturday mornings. I went to Māori culture, which is now called kapa haka. The groups now in school are called kapa haka. So Māori culture, choir, and flute lessons on a Saturday morning. Oh, look at this little one. Couldn't you just eat him up? He is adorable. Look how fervently he's saying his prayers. And it looks like mashed potato and stew. Yummy. And here we're talking about the population of the world. This is when the pill was introduced to New Zealand. My mother tells me the pill arrived the year after me. Oh, the dreaded dental nurse. We called that the murder house, going to the dental nurse. We went to the murder house. It was legendary. I'll just flip through a few more pages and stop when I see something interesting. Many broken arms on the jungle gym. Not me though, I was never brave enough. Butterfly. That was a big thing around where I grew up. Butterflies on houses. I thought it was a New Zealand thing, but I went to Tulsa in the 1990s, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I saw a few houses with butterflies. Now I think I would like to have a butterfly of my own. Washing machine. That was the best way to do washing. Got it so clean. Using the mangle was exciting. Especially if you got your arm caught in it. I never did. Comfortable home. That does look cosy. I wonder what they're looking at out the window. That had a piano. It's interesting seeing the difference in these living rooms. Very cute. Sorry if I'm moving the book around too much. I think some of it might just be out of view. I grew up in a house like that. Very similar. It was a very old house, but very lovely. Everyone getting together to build homes for all Edmonds. No home is complete without the Edmonds cooking book. Wash your hands, okay, I will. No helmet. Very nice. A nice patio with a pool. Only for the rich, I think. Women working. That looks like it could be in the 1970s or early 80s, looking at their shorts. Possibly late 80s. 1984. 1984. That's Auckland. I recognise the bus. The Auckland Regional Transport Bus. So this is Women at Work. R&M Beauty Hair and Skin Specialists. Farmers Trading Company. I worked there. I worked in that building right there. That place was a legend. It's a chain of department stores in New Zealand, but it started off in that building. And everybody knew somebody who worked there. Or, like me, they worked there themselves. My mother worked there, and my sister-in-law worked there, and so did my sister-in-law's mother. It was a family affair. It's a very big operation. It has branches all through the country. Munitions work. 200 more women and girls for munitions work. This is your opportunity to back up New Zealand's gallant fighting men. What does nursing hold for you? I remember being in hospital in the 1970s, and the nurses really did wear those lovely red capes. Equal pay for equal work. I'm not sure if that has actually been achieved yet. I think to a certain extent there's still a glass ceiling for many women. But hopefully there's a little more equality now than there used to be. And where do New Zealanders go to get away from it all? We love doing this. We love the beach. I think these women might be looking for Pippi, which is a shellfish. I could be wrong. Oh yes, it says, digging for their supper at Wenderholm Beach near Auckland, 1966. They'd be digging up Pippies. dogs. Very stylish. I love the beach. I grew up with the beach in walking distance. Not just one beach, but I had my choice of beaches. I love the beach. It's funny how the people may have changed, but the beach is still the same. People are still doing the same thing, still paddling and swimming and lying in the sunshine. Hot water beach, these are all lovely, nice, warm, hot puddles of water. And more beaches. And a lovely sunset. We're on the beach. We have a caravan. Oh, there we go. We have a caravan at a beach camping site ourselves. Not this particular one, and not as pretty as this one. But this is the sort of thing we have, is a caravan with a little annex building. And we go there every chance we can with all the children. It's not much of a holiday with all the children, but it's building great memories for them. Taupo Volcanic Zone. We have a lot of volcanoes here. Now here's a young boy. A young local resident poses inside the brain pot. It's like a little crater. At Whakarirarewa, one of the attractions of Rotorua's thermal wonderland. I'm going there in November. I have a friend, another YouTuber, who is coming to visit, and we are going to go to Rotorua and we're going to visit Whakarirarewa village. And I think she will enjoy that. Her name is Jennifer, and if you're interested, you might like to check her channel, Jay's Calming Corner. I like that name, Calming Corner, Jay's Calming Corner. And she's a fairly new ASM artist. She does lovely ASMR videos. And I enjoy watching her, and I think it's really lovely that she's coming to visit me. The Swan Drive, the old Swanee. That's practically the uniform for many farmers. And of course the sheep. So many sheep in New Zealand. This chap here was known as Fred Dagg, and he was a character created by John Clark. And John Clark later moved on to Australia, where he was quite well known. And unfortunately he passed away, I think late last year or early this year. I think he was on a hike. He was hiking. He was only in his 60s. He was a very, very funny man. He had a song here that New Zealanders loved called If It Weren't For Your Gumboots. Gumboots are a type of boot, Wellington boot, galoshes. And, we all love to sing that song. The sheepdogs. There's the sheep being drenched. Cows being milked. Women's division of the New Zealand Farmers Union. Trusty sheepdog, I think, or farm dog. It doesn't look like a border collie. sharing. Cows going off to milking. And that looks like a calf club, which they often had at school events or agricultural events. They still do. Gumboots. What would we do without gumboots, or where would we be without our gumboots? Here we go. There's our classic sheepdog. Sheepdog trials. Oh, I love watching those. We don't get them on television now, but there used to be a show where they would have sheepdog trials. It was quite competitive and quite exciting to watch in a very quiet, calm kind of way. I know exactly where that is. I've driven past this building many, many times. It's in Tirau. It's made out of corrugated iron. I think there's also a building next door, which is a ram. It's got the horns. And I think there's many other corrugated iron sculptures and statues around the town. It's a farming community. Jean Batten. She was an aviator, and she is the person who lent her name to our airport in Auckland, the Jean Batten Airport. And Richard Pearce, who was an aviator, and he actually did get his full contraption to fly. He didn't quite manage it at the same time as the Wright brothers. It was around the same time. But he wasn't the first. I believe the Wright brothers were first. But he was close. Now, some of you may recognise this famous man. And that's Sir Ernest Rutherford. And he's well known for splitting the atom. And he was born in Nelson, New Zealand. There he is. Richard Pearce was a South Canterbury farmer who managed some degree of flight in a homemade aircraft in the early 1900s. Built of bamboo, aluminium, wire and bicycle wheels, his machine is believed to have achieved a range of some 100 yards or 91 metres. Even if he didn't beat the Wright brothers, Pearce was undoubtedly a mechanical genius, and there is a permanent tribute to his ingenuity at Auckland's Museum of Transport and Technology. And here's Jean Batten. By the age of 18, Rotorua-born Jean Batten had already decided she wanted to be the first woman to fly from England to Australia. Wow. And she achieved her dream in 1934 and several other world firsts. She was probably the most famous New Zealander of the 1930s. And she's pictured here holding a cat at Wellington's Rongotai Airport. I don't understand. Why a cat at the airport? She had a beautiful smile. Beautiful smile. Bruce. Oh, have you seen the movie The World's Fastest Indian? No, I'm getting a little bit confused. That's John Britton. Interesting. Ernest Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford demonstrates his loyalty to Old Judge cigarettes in the early 1900s. It can be safely assumed that this outfit cost its owner a packet or two. But I'm done. Oh, I've seen that house. It's down in, is it Invercargill? I can't remember. It's way way down at the bottom of the South Island, and they were a lovely couple, and they loved PowerShells so much they decorated their entire home with power. It was quite iconic. There's Fred Dag. Split Ends, yes. They were a very popular band in the 1970s, early 80s. Have you heard of the band Crowded House? Or Tim Finn? Have you heard of Tim Finn? Brothers Neil and Tim Finn were responsible for forming Split Ends, along with Noel Crombie, Nigel Gribbs, Eddie Rayner. And that's Noel Crombie. They were a very quirky band, very quirky. If you get the opportunity to listen to their music, that's my dog barking. A.J. Hackett. Guess who invented bungee jumping? Yes, it was a Kiwi. So that's A.J. Hackett giving it a go. The business went global in 1987 when Hackett leaped from the Eiffel Tower. In the following year, he launched himself from the Stock Exchange building in Auckland. No, thank you. Oh, you were so funny, Fred Dag. Number 8 wire. A sewing class teaching Māori children how to sew. What is going on here? There being no work on Sundays, Northland gum diggers line up for a shave and wait for boots to dry. Okay. Now, gum diggers used to extract gum from the kauri trees. It's not practiced anymore. The kauri tree is actually quite rare now, and so they are no longer harvested. Keeping the home fires burning during the war. War began attacks on Poland. It's the Second World War. My father was in the British Army. I think that's a separate video. Things I could tell you. He didn't talk much about it. He was taken as a prisoner of war by the Japanese twice. Women for a healthy, vital war job. Join the Women's Land Service. So here we have women doing the work that men once did, holding the country together, keeping the home fires burning. That looks like fun. A sense of occasion. Oh my goodness. I'll pass on fire walking. Oh, what a pretty picture. Beautiful bride. Getting ready for a royal visit with the Prince of Wales. There we go. And Mary. Oh, who is this? The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and York, later King George V and his consort Mary. The Prince of Wales came earlier on. Oh, look at that. Isn't she beautiful? The Queen Mother. Or the Queen at the time. Majesty. Now this may have been, depending on the year, I may have actually been in that crowd. I'm trying to remember what she was wearing. Or was it this? It was the 1980s when I saw her. So it doesn't look like the 80s. Princess Diana. Oh, she was beautiful, wasn't she? She was just beautiful. George Bernard Shaw. He visited our country in 1934. And the Beatles, this was before my time. Just before my time when the Beatles came to visit. And people went crazy for them. Absolutely crazy. They made documentaries about it. And I remember the Pope visiting, and I remember him kissing the ground when he landed. Sense of occasion, parties, dancing. Ooh, that looks like John Travolta. Can you see that? Can you make that out? Must be a display decoration. Disco, Saturday Night Fever at the Mandalay Ballroom nightclub. Māori have a highly developed sense of occasion. Ngāti Kahungano hosts welcome visitors at the wedding of Mō Tiakitai Donnelly of Taradale in the early 1900s, which was described as the event of the colony. The woman in front, that's her, waves greenery as a signal for visitors to come forward. There were 600 guests. The best champagne was served, and the wedding cake, topped by a Māori canoe rowed by cupids, was 2 meters high. Oh, how perfect. How they've changed. Now, why am I thinking of Granny Clampett now? £5 reward. The above reward will be paid to anyone giving information that will lead to the conviction of any person damaging advertisements on this railway station. Hello, Sally. Are you crossing over tonight? Oh no, I'm getting off at midnight and swimming back. I don't understand. The midnight ferry from Picton arrived in Wellington in the early hours of the morning. Oh, I think I get it. Okay. Early motor car. Is that who I was thinking of? Percy Coleman. Newman's Coach Tours. Going to town. Oh, you must dress up when you go to town. When I was a child, remember I worked at Farmers Trading Company when I was a teenager and a young adult. But you would traditionally do your Christmas shopping at Farmers Trading Company in the city, and you would dress up and wear long white socks, and you were If you were lucky, you might go with a friend. It was an event. And you would go and do your Christmas shopping. Lydia Williams, I don't know who she was, and her sons Edgar and Owen dressed in their finery for a visit to the Invercargill water tower. I'm not sure when that was taken. Mr. Mackenzie and Mrs. Chapman strolling at Days Bay, Eastbourne, 1931. He looks very tall. You see, very tall. Visit to the barber. Ooh, how does she walk in those shoes? Very nice. We had our fashion boutique. There it is. Farmers Trading Company with Creepy Santa. And I would have been there at that time, probably. I would have been on this floor here, the first floor, and towards the back corner. Yes, I remember this place very well. It's now a hotel. It's no longer a New Zealand-owned company, and so there are shops all over the country now. Yes, Santa Bear. Oh, such fond memories of working there. It was an institution. Very fashionable. Very fashionable. It all looks very, very sophisticated, doesn't it? Even now when I go into the city, I'm like the country mouse going into town. Fun and games. Oh, that looks like that game Cat's Cradle that they play with string. I remember playing that. That looks very elaborate. Look at that. And we used to make all sorts of patterns with the string. Usually took 2 people to play it. Some athletics. Some runners. Colin Meads. Now, I'm not a big rugby fan, but I recognise Colin Meads, also known as Pine Tree Meads. Excuse the background noise, my daughter has come upstairs to get a snack. Here we have the rugby team performing a haka, but it doesn't look quite as vigorous as what we see today. But we're very proud of the haka in New Zealand. Lifting the skirt on women's rugby action at Paraparaumu Domain during a fundraising game for the War Memorial Hall in the 1950s. Interesting. I'm not sure if I fully understand that photo. Netball. Now that's quite a sport to watch. endurance swimming contests. So this was taken in 1931. In 1931, destitute 28-year-old Katerina Nehua left her 3 young children and 9-week-old baby and spent her last money on a tram to enter an endurance competition at Manly, Sydney. She had not eaten for some time and was given chocolate and beef tea by organisers. Coated in olive oil and axle grease, she was hauled out of the cold, choppy sea after 47 hours and 52 minutes. The winner endured another 22 minutes, but offered Katerina half of the £300 prize money. Katerina later set the world record with a 72 hours 21 minutes swim. Wow. Very gracious of the other person to offer to go halves of the winnings. Speedos. All these sporty people. Oh my gosh, abseiling. It's a bit extreme. Not for me. And it looks like it's in the Auckland Museum. Yes, the Auckland War Memorial Museum. Wow, that's been there a long time. I've seen that ever since I was a little girl. Every time I go in. Yeah, the old moa. The moa bird. Not sure if you can see that very well. It was pretty big, a bit like an emu perhaps. It's now extinct. She's very limber. Young Nairi Dawn Porter. She went on to work in Britain as a stage and television actress. She mesmerised viewers in the hugely successful television dramatisation of Galsworthy's The Forsyte Saga. Excuse the sound of my dog jumping off the furniture. And here we have all the photograph credits. I hope you've enjoyed looking through this with me. I quite like just flicking through books, and I'll move that out of the way. I like looking at old photos, especially ones that bring back nostalgic memories. So thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Good night. Good night.